In this concise presentation, our focus revolves around cortisol, delving into methods to deactivate this entity. The initial facet necessitates comprehension that cortisol originates externally from the adrenal gland. This gland, positioned atop the kidney, presents a pear, exhibiting a characteristic appearance. Its exterior encapsulates glandular tissue, housing the genesis of cortisol within its outer confines. Conversely, the gland's interior comprises solely neural tissue, responsible for synthesizing neurotransmitters. These substances, akin to hormones, navigate the neural pathways for communication, diverging from hormones that traverse the bloodstream. This demarcation underscores cortisol's extrinsic production, while internally, adrenaline takes precedence. Adrenaline, akin to cortisol, functions as a stress-inducing hormone. The crux lies in the common predicament where individuals, besieged by stress, encounter difficulty in curtailing its effects, notably the inhibition of cortisol. This predicament stems primarily from the adrenal gland's exclusive mechanism and on-switch solely. Cortisol, as a stress-responsive hormone, orchestrates bodily adjustments in response to stressful stimuli. Similarly, adrenaline, triggered by stress, orchestrates adaptations in the body to align with heightened stress levels. Consider a scenario: being pursued by a tiger, an event causing a surge in heart rate, directing blood flow toward muscles, fostering an intensely vigilant state of mind, alongside elevated blood pressure owing to increased adrenaline levels. This cascade of physiological changes sidelines functions like digestion and reproduction. What often eludes many is the cumulative nature of stress. Contrary to the belief that stress dissipates once encountered, it accumulates over time. Utilizing a stress-measuring apparatus, one can visually discern the correlation between prolonged stress exposure and the body's perpetual on mode. The adrenal mechanism, devoid of an off switch, perpetuates this prolonged activation, thereby impeding stress cessation. The buildup of stress is an intriguing aspect worth noting. Remarkably, in almost all instances, approximately 100% if not 99% of autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, MS, lupus, and similar ailments manifest subsequent to a stressful event, particularly associated with loss, impending loss, or personal upheavals such as divorce. This correlation emerges due to the profound impact of loss on the adrenal system, emotionally jolting the body. A loss event impacts the body more profoundly than physical stressors. Consequently, individuals might remain ensnared in this emotional state for extended periods, while their physical being remains entangled, leading to the onset of autoimmune complications. This phenomenon underscores the enduring activation of the adrenals due to the cumulative effect of stress, an objectively measurable phenomenon. Subjectively, one can gauge this impact through stress tolerance and coping mechanisms. Heightened irritability and susceptibility to stress serve as indicators of the adrenal glands being constantly on edge. This state aligns with the fight or flight response, wherein individuals persistently find themselves in a state of readiness to combat or flee a perpetual state of stress. The fight or flight response can indeed be quantified, and I can assess this in a test to determine the intensity of this response. We can discern whether someone is in the normal range or perpetually trapped in this state due to past stresses. These stressors could encompass hormonal shifts like menopause, physical or mental strain, or any other form of stress. Essentially, what occurs is an elevation in certain hormones, a result of lingering past stresses. These stresses often evade detection in routine blood tests or other assessments, but might manifest in subtle indicators like blood pressure or pulse rate, requiring a more sensitive test for identification. I utilize a test that delves into the autonomic nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nerve fibers, known as heart rate variability. Disregard the technical term, but understand that such a test exists. When evaluating individuals, I consider two critical aspects: the level of accumulated stress within their body and the extent of their health or recovery reserves. There exists a correlation between these aspects. Prolonged periods of stress often deplete one's health reserves, affecting their recovery capacity. Therefore, if one's recovery reserve diminishes, even slight stress can exert a significant impact. Conversely, robust recovery reserves mitigate the impact of stress due to the buffer they provide. The fundamental question arises: how can we deactivate this mechanism? It's been my discovery that conventional methods like pills often prove ineffective in this endeavor. What's necessary is a manual intervention to switch off the adrenal glands. But how can one achieve this manually when these glands are deeply embedded within the body? Well, there exist techniques that target other segments of the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. To be specific, counterparts to this system, known as the parasympathetics, hold the key to the off switch, governing rest and digestion. Typically, individuals experiencing stress encounter disruptions in resting and digestion. By mapping out these locations within the body and employing non-invasive methods like acupressure or massage, one can induce profound relaxation, thereby benefiting this segment of the nervous system. Essentially, the focus is not solely on the gland itself, but rather on the nervous system. By enhancing the flow of neurological signals connected to the brain, an incessant on-switch, it's akin to manipulating a switchboard. My aim is to provide a foundational understanding of cortisol, its influence on adrenals, and the dynamics at play for those entrenched in stress. I trust this proves insightful, and I look forward to our exploration in future content. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share this to your friends,